I'm trying to get everybody signed on for a 14-year plan. He goes, you're staying 14 years? I said, yeah. He goes, okay, good. Are you on the 14-year plan? I got another one. I'm still enlisted. I'm still enlisted. In 2 days. But that's just different high school. Nothing's wrong all year.
I didn't think you wanted me calling you back. Please.
Hey, Mars. Thank you, sir. That's just take out the part assessor because everybody can remember.
What was the movie?
Ready? Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with the sheriff for roll call.
Sheriff Tommy Johnson.
Joe Blau for Commissioner Kerry Bloomer.
Brian Mon.
Miles Davidson for Commissioner Kevin Kelly.
Jerry Stone for Butch Freeman.
Larry Stein, Oklahoma County Assessor.
Okay, it was properly posted on July 15th, and would the court clerk be willing to lead us in a pledge of allegiance?
I'd be honored.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of June 16th and July 1st?
Unless there are any changes, I move approval.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Any individual consideration on the consent docket? Okay.
Unless there are objections, I move approval.
Wait a minute. I think we got a button on the first one.
Gotcha.
Everybody buttoned?
Yes, sir. Uh-oh. Got to press yes.
Okay, so now any individual consideration on the consent docket? If not, is there a motion to accept it as a whole?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And then Danny?
Good morning. So we will go over the PowerPoint slide that's attached to the agenda. The first item is the general fund budget, and this is the last report for fiscal year 21-22. Highlighted the reserve. We ended the year with $2.4 million in reserve. We had estimated that we would end the year with about 2.6, so about $200,000 less than we had budgeted back in April and May. So that will affect the fund balance rolling into next year for the September supplement, but not that much.
That money that rolls into next year, what do we call that again?
Seed something.
Corn?
Yeah.
Seed corn. Just wanted, Butch isn't here, so I wanted to make sure we talked.
All right, a couple slides over comparing general fund through June of this year to last year. We did end the year with a revenue increase of almost 5.6 million. That's a 5.5% increase, right in line with what we had budgeted for the year. Expenditures were up almost 5 million, about 5% over last year as well, also in line with what we had budgeted. Ended the year with a balance of 18.8 million in general fund cash. That's about 700,000 less than a year ago. And then the very next slide is the employee benefits fund. We ended the year with a cash balance of $777,203. We had projected when we built the budget going into next year, we had projected a balance of 1.2 million. So it came in a little bit less than what we had estimated by about 436,000. But the good news is we've got an item on this agenda moving a little more than $1 million from Arpa funds into employee benefits fund that was not budgeted going into next year. So that will definitely help. And the very last slide is the capital projects. I'd just like to point this out. We've got 29,000 in unallocated funds available. And then right above that, the highlighted yellow part is the capital projects as needed. We've got 215,000 still budgeted, and then 7,000 left from the year before. So we've got some money in there to tackle some capital projects going into next year.
Any questions of Danny? Is there a motion to receive his report?
Motion to receive.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Cody.
Good morning. Attached to your agenda is the first watch list for this fiscal year. There are 2 items listed on there. One of them is a recommendation for today. It's your item number 37 on your agenda. It's for the self-insurance fund. I can get specifically into that when we get to that item. We also put, it says social services utilities. It's the building that social services used to use, the utility expenses. We went ahead and created a line item so that we could track that for September supplement. We also have an item that we discussed yesterday in BET. It is item number 39, and I'll be happy to discuss that when you guys reach that point in the agenda.
Is there a motion to receive his report?
Motion to receive.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Wolferson.
Good morning. I don't have a handout for this meeting just because we're only 3 weeks into the new fiscal year, so it's kind of a short comparison period. Just know that we're looking good going into this new fiscal year. We had to push the last check register of medical claims from June into July. We didn't get that ARPA funding deposited in time, so the numbers are a little skewed because we're actually looking at last fiscal year's claims in this fiscal year. So next month we'll show a comparison of that. Really, the only other thing I have is a reminder of our annual health testing. That's coming up in August. We do that every year. Just to remind everybody to encourage your employees, their dependents, or their spouses to take that test. It's a really good test. They get a full packet of information. It's confidential on themselves, and it gets them to engage with their doctor, which is very, very important. We usually have about a 70% participation rate, and that's really high in that testing. We want to keep that going. So we'll be sending information out first of next month on that. Just a reminder to everyone, just try to participate if you can. That's all I have.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
John, could I ask you about how the transfer of all the retirement things went? Is any concerns, problems?
Everything's up and running on that in regards to that.
Not on this agenda item.
Okay.
Do we still, John, do we still incentivize the employees to do the health screen?
We do. We give them a free month of premium, so we waive their premium in the month of month of November, which is the payday before Christmas.
Okay. Is there a motion to receive his report?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Interfund transfer from general fund to self-insurance fund. Danny?
This is the transfer that was budgeted, the full amount, the $60,000 in cash that goes into the self-insurance fund.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You able to speak to the next one?
Yes, so we are transferring $1 million in cash from general fund to employee benefits fund. That is part of the $3.4 million that was budgeted. We did $500,000 last month, earlier this month, and then another $1 million now. So we'll catch up with the rest of it later in the fiscal year.
Is there a
Motion to
motion?
approve.
There's-
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the ARPA fund.
Yeah, so in discussions with Michael Taylor in the chairman's office, how the accounting will work within the ARPA fund, we set up 2 cost centers. There is one already set up, 365, so we created 2 new cost centers, 371 for county reimbursements and 372 for county projects. So we can move money within the fund into these cost centers to address the reimbursements and the projects that the Board of County Commissioners have already approved back in June.
Any questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Cody, do you want to come back and talk about 34? I didn't know if you did or didn't, but I'm just asking.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
If you need me to, I can, maybe.
All right.
Cody, do we have a list of all these instead of just the bulk, 1,032,000? Do we have a list of what we're reimbursing?
I don't have that handy. I didn't create this agenda item, so I know there's the 1,008,000 on item 36 is part of this 1,032,000. I think there was 18,000 and change for juvenile.
34,000.
Yeah, 18,125 for juvenile bureau, and then $5,437 to the county clerk.
I believe those are for testing purposes.
Yeah.
Reimbursements.
Are you comfortable in this, Mr. Warren, or do
Yes.
you need to? Okay. All right, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And then sheriff.
This is the ARPA funding for the HVAC system out at Midwest City for our building. Approved through the P&G and then through Board of County Commissioners.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and the employee benefits fund for reimbursements of COVID-related expenses. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now, Cody.
All right. Item 37 is a transfer of $153,500 from general fund reserve into self-insurance fund. Previously, I think it was agenda item 31, you moved the $60,000 that was previously budgeted for this year into self-insurance. The district attorney's office came to BET and they've got some known expenses for this year that they need to encumber related to contracts for depositions and for expert witnesses. They are short we usually pay for those out of self-insurance. That account is short to be able to meet those needs to encumber. So BET is recommending the transfer of $153,500.
Wasn't their budget for a year, as I recall, 600,000?
This is
Is that a different budget?
It's a different budget, yeah.
Any questions more than that? Is there a motion?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
38 is related to 37. Since this money is leaving general fund and going to self-insurance, this is just the appropriations item related to item 37.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
39.
Okay, item 39 is an item that BET had a special meeting to discuss yesterday, which is why it's not on your watch list. There just wasn't time to get that amended prior to this meeting. Kelly Thomas, in discussions with her, we had budgeted $600,000 in the general government account to cover outside legal contracts for this fiscal year. Those contracts, when they were presented to Ms. Thomas, they totaled just barely shy of $640,000. So she's about $40,000 light in that account to be able to encumber for the legal contracts that we already know we need for this fiscal year that the BOCC has already approved. We need that money to be able to encumber those contracts. Need to encumber them before the September supplement would go into effect. That's the reason why we discussed this one ahead of the September supplement.
So three weeks in, we spent the entire 600,000 and some change.
Yeah, a lot of those are, most all of those are contracts that are carried over from the previous fiscal year. This would cover all of the remainder of the amounts needed for this fiscal year that we know of as of right now. Now that's can be a moving target. So we will have some more discussions coming up on the September supplement as to whether we'll need to fund that account at a higher amount.
I understand the DA's estimate that we'll need about 900,000 for this year.
These are for the known we have to encumber on contracts that are before us right now. Those are estimates and projections for the rest of the year. That is what BET will include in our calculus as to our recommendation at the September supplement, whether we should put more than this additional 40,000 into this account. We will utilize those numbers and other things when we come back to you for a recommendation for prospectively. This is just what we see as a need currently, a known need.
All right.
Is there further questions? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Item 40, I need to move a brief amount of money not to exceed $1,200 over.
Motion.
Second.
Maybe. Is the machine freezing, or we seem to be going backwards here on how long this takes? Okay, now read motion. Is there a second?
There's a motion and a second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Wilkerson.
Thank you.
Sure. Number 41 is just a standard renewal with Premise Health there for our direct primary care clinics. Only changes an increase to price, but they're still at a great rate compared to other providers. So just asking for your approval.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next item 42 with Deer Oaks.
Sure. Deer Oaks, number 42 is for Deer Oaks Employee Assistance Program. There are no changes to this agreement, same price. Just ask for your approval on this.
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Are there any citizens to be heard before the budget board? Hearing or seeing none, we'll start off with a congratulations to the assessor for his award. You want to explain that to us?
This is not a Screen Actors Guild, but a special achievement in GIS. GIS is all the technology we use for our mapping and being able to set values for property. And I gave you all one of these copies of the certificate, and it really should just talk about Oklahoma County, because without this board's support, the achievements we've been able to make would never been able to be achieved. It's a phenomenal thing. They estimate that 1/20th of 1% of all of the centers and groups and governmental entities that use GIS, which is for locating things on your phone with mapping or any of the other amazing things that they do. There's a small fractional amount of organizations that earn these awards, and it's because of the great staff in the assessor's office, the funding provided by the budget board, and I just want to thank you all very much for what you've done. And we can have the traveling trophy that goes around. Can't see it very well, but it's a neat little document to the testimony of everybody's efforts to support us, and we appreciate it very much.
Treasurer?
Thank you for your great work.
No problem.
So it's with heavy heart that Edmond lost one of its finest officers yesterday, and if we could just keep that family and the entire police department and law enforcement in our thoughts and prayers, we appreciate it.
I think it's their first officer they've lost in 130 years. Wow. Terrible. And happy belated birthday to Commissioner Calvi. Just had a birthday a couple of days ago.
Nice.
I also would like to mention Sergeant C.J. Nelson. He was a good friend. He was an Edmond policeman. I knew him well. He's a fine young man. His family will deeply miss him, and so will all the citizens of Edmond and all the fellow officers in the entire United States.
I second what Mr. Davidson and Mr. Warren said. Sad time for the law enforcement community, but keep Edmond in your prayers.
Any new business? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Absolutely. We'd still be on the